Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Beer and Business Application. It's Friday afternoon and I think it's time that we get to share a drink and talk about what has been happening in not only the world of dynamics but also in kind of my own world and what I've been working on. So today we are going to try my favorite Mexican beer. This is called Bohemia or Bohemia. Some people call it Bohemia, but it's Bohemia in Spanish. It's pretty awesome. If you haven't tried it, check it out. So let me open it here. One second. All right. Cool. So cheers, Bohemia. Love it. Awesome. All right. So let's talk about this week. So this week, actually, let's talk about last week. So last week I was out on vacation. I went to Cancun, which was awesome. At least people are not dying like they're dying in the Dominican Republic, which is kind of strange. If you haven't read that or if you haven't heard that, is kind of weird what's happening over there. But we got to go to Mexico, to Cancun. That was pretty awesome. And I got to disconnect, which was great. Now, it was interesting timing because this week I actually was supposed to, or was going to, or I actually did go live with 2 implementations, 2 phase 1s for 2 different customers, which was pretty awesome. I love working with those 2 organizations, and we were able to wrap up all the work and go live for that. So I took kind of a vacation before that happened, so I knew that this week was going to be tough. And actually last week it was more of a user adoption week anyway, where I wasn't going to be super involved, so I had the opportunity to take a break. So that's why you see this beer growing kind of thing. Last week I had no time because I was out on vacation. I wasn't going to shave. Nobody does that on vacation. And this week I was full of work with this go lives, so I was kind of focused on that. So my wife just keeps asking me to shave, and all right, I'll do it later today, I promise you. She doesn't watch these videos, but I'll promise her on the video. The other thing I wanted to mention is that one of those projects that I went live with this week, the final task that I had to complete was the printing of a document. And we're leveraging MSCRM add-ons document core pack for that, for this customer. And I wanted to give a shout out to Patrick O'Donnell at MSCRM add-ons for helping me out with this stuff. Learning about Patrick and MSCRM add-ons and the document core pack, and I've implemented it in the past, but it's kind of always been like up to the customer to figure it out. We've recommended in the past. This was kind of the first time that I got to actually work with it and implement it from my perspective as a solution architect, and I learned a lot from that solution. I'm actually thinking that I'm going to be using it a lot more in the future. It's a really great functionality if you haven't actually used it in the past. But one thing that made me think about was how many good solutions are out there that we don't really know about. How many solutions are out there that you are probably using in your implementations that maybe I don't even know about it, whether they're free or whether you pay for them. There's a lot of great solutions out there that kind of go unnoticed because they don't have the exposure that some of these other companies and solutions have. So back in Extreme 365 and CRMUG EMEA in Amsterdam earlier this year, I attended this panel. There was a panel discussion, and one of the panelists was Mark Smith, who is an MVP, as you guys probably know. If you're watching this, you know who Mark Smith is. He's based in the UK, originally from New Zealand. And Mark was talking about how organizations, especially ISVs, kind of miss on the opportunity of more exposure by not including thought leaders, or what I call them, industry influencers like MVPs and other experts, right? And I think he, when he said that, I kind of laughed it off, and I think it was maybe the way he said it. He said, look, instead of having a party and opening it to everybody, why don't you take all the MVPs out for drinks, right? And everybody laughed, and including myself. It was pretty funny the way he said it. But now that I think about it even more, especially now with MSCRM add-ons and the functionality that I had the opportunity to work with this week, I think about that, and it makes a lot more sense. I feel that if you're an ISV and you have a solution out there that is a good solution, right? I think that leveraging influencers like MVPs, for example, cannot do anything bad for your organization and your solution, unless your organization and your solution are bad, right? But if you have created something great, like Document Core Pack from MSCRM add-ons, like Click Dimensions, like many other organizations out there that have created great functionality for Dynamics 365 and other business applications, I think that if you're not leveraging influencers, you're missing out. Like other companies do it. Hold on. Cheers for another drink. Other companies do it out there, right? You have the Pepsi commercial with Kylie Jenner or whatever her name is. You have, these other companies, technology companies like Samsung and Sony and whatever, using people and YouTubers or, people out there. You see also with watches, for example, like Rolex sponsoring Roger Federer, and athletes and actors and whatnot. Like companies leverage people that are influencers because they know other people would ask, well, what do you use? What do you recommend? And it would sell. And in a lot of cases for industries like Dynamics 365, those kind of interactions with influencers come at a very, very low cost, right? You're not going to be paying millions of dollars like Roger Federer does to Nike and Rolex or whatever it is, right? With just interacting with influencers and maybe making your product available for free to them. Not only that, but every time there's a conference, make sure you reach out to influencers. Maybe even take them out for a drink like Mark suggested, right? Doing things like that will get people to try your product, and if they try your product and it's a good product, more than likely they're going to recommend it, like it happened to me this week with MSCRM add-ons. And once again, get a drink. So it is really, really tough to stand out if you're trying to kind of market your solution the old way, just putting out advertisement out there, just putting out, having a booth at a conference or whatever it is, and not leveraging influencers. And for some reason, a lot of companies don't do that. And I'm trying to understand why, right? Especially because of the fact that it pretty much is free. You're not going to be paying MVPs like myself or whoever to go out there and and influence the company. Like you see, this video is not sponsored by anybody. Me talking about MSCRM add-ons based on the experience I had this week has nothing to do with them sponsoring this video. They are not. Nobody's paying me anything to say anything, just like nobody paid me from Bohemia to say it's my favorite beer, right? But if you make a good impression on someone, they'll come out there and they will talk about your solution. They will talk about their first-hand experience with it. I think it's been outstanding. Again, Patrick did a great job from MSCRM add-ons, and they're all over the world as well. They have customers all over the world. Let me hold on one second. This is a dog break. Charlie, say hi. Charlie. Never mind. He's rude. All right. So once again, I think that if you're an ISV and you're not taking advantage of the industry influencers out there, if you're not taking advantage of the people who could try your product and possibly leverage it going forward. And I do realize that not all industry influencers do this for a living, right? There are a lot of MVPs, and not only in Dynamics but in other products as well, that are users, that are not implementers. They're not going to be out there implementing your functionality day in and day out. But there's a lot of MVPs like myself who do implement this thing for a living. We are on ongoing projects, right? I went live with 2 implementations this week, 2 phase 1s that completed, but there's a lot more in the pipeline, right? I'm working with another company that should be going live in July. So there's always work and there's always opportunity for you to get your product across. So you should always work with influencers. That is the advice for today, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because I was really, really impressed this week again, and it was sort of like, why didn't I know about this? Why didn't I know about this product? And I think that, not just MSCRM add-ons, I think that a lot of other companies, ISVs, I would say almost all ISVs don't take advantage of that connection. For example, and I'll give you another example. If you ask 20 CRM MVPs what data synchronization tool they would prefer, data integration, data migration, data integration tools, more than likely they'll say Kingswaysoft. And the reason for that is not that it's the best one. I do think they're the best, but It's not mainly because they're the best one, because I think that depending on what you're trying to do, the solution will change, right? Maybe Scribe will be a best fit, maybe Cozy Rock will be a best fit, maybe Smart Connect will be a better fit, or even BizTalk from Microsoft, right? Depending on what you're trying to do, or Flow, right? Using the Flow connectors to move data from one side to another. I think depending on what you're trying to do, the solution will change. But if you ask 20 CRM MVPs, you know, what data integration solution they would recommend, more than likely they're gonna say Kingsway Soft, without knowing, again, what you're trying to do. If I know what you're trying to do, then I'm gonna think about it in more detail. But if it's just what data integration solution is best out there, I would say Kingsway Soft. Why? Because Kingsway Soft was founded by an MVP. And Daniel, who's the MVP who started Kingsway Soft, interacts with us, right? We're a family, right? So he's taken advantage of that connection and being part of the family to get us influenced by it. And obviously the product is good to go along with it. It's a lot easier to go along with something that actually works and that is super useful, like Kingsway Soft. So for us, for example, as a partner, I have the philosophy, which is based on what you're using, that's what we're going to leverage. If you already have skills or whatever it is, sometimes we get customers that work with other partners and they say, we're using Scribe, should we switch? No, don't switch, right? I'm not asking people to switch. If you already have something in place and have the skills, keep using that. Right now we're working with a prospect who's using Smart Connect. Great, let's keep using Smart Connect, no problem. But if you have nothing and you're doing an implementation from scratch, more than likely I'm going to suggest we go with Kingsway Soft. That's typically the way I approach it. Some other people might have other ideas and other recommendations, but that's the way I do it. They have a great product, and again, Daniel is an MVP, and he's used that to his advantage for sure, at least on the influencer side. Another company that does a really good job with influencers is Click Dimensions. So during Extreme and CRMG in Amsterdam, Click Dimensions hosted a dinner where they invited all MVPs and other influencers, not just MVPs, but community superstars essentially, who are not MVPs, or maybe not MVPs at that time, but who are now MVPs, and they invited us to dinner. And again, nothing to try to sell us Click Dimensions. We're already using Click Dimensions and implementing it. You don't have to sell it to us. But the fact that you're leveraging, our exposure and our leverage with the rest of the community makes it great. I think that they're leveraging that and they're beating competition. I don't even know what the competition will be. I guess it will be the Microsoft marketing application. Microsoft doesn't really have to leverage MVPs. They created the MVP award, so why would they even have to do anything more than that? I think there's still opportunity for them to leverage MVPs in other ways, but obviously we're already working with them, so the need is not as big. But if you have a solution that does auto numbering or does formulas like North 52, or if you have a solution for quoting functionality, or CPQ, or whatever solution you have, even if it's a vertical solution for accounting firms, law firms, schools, nonprofits, whatever it is, I think that if you're not leveraging influencers on your industry, you're missing out big time. So that is kind of what I wanted to talk about this week to you guys, and obviously again give you an update on what I've been up to. That was it. You probably drank 2 or 3 while I was just talking about a bunch of different things, but I hope you're enjoying the series, Beer and Business Application. Hopefully we get to do this live. I want to invite some people to join me, and again, just set up the camera and hit record and start talking about business applications. But that's what I've been up to this week. There's a few other things that I've done this week, but they're not as important to disclose in this video. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one, and hopefully you enjoyed the episode. We'll see you then.